Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Experts on April 7th, 2021. This is the AK Legacy Foundation, and as you all know, this is our monthly webcast where we bring experts together from various backgrounds, social, economic statuses, all walks of life from all across the country, where we come together and have honest, open conversation. And today we have a special treat, but hold on, I'm gonna tell you more about it. But I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, please like, share, invite someone, leave a comment, ask your question, and we will reply as soon as possible. All right. So on today, we have the pleasure of speaking with some of our women in business members that are a part of the AK Legacy Foundation. Here you can find our website, aklegacyfoundation.org. We are always welcoming um, donations. You just want to just give us a nice word of encouragement. We're always receiving those as well. Here's our website if you want to be a part, if you want to volunteer, if you want to make a one-time donation, or if you would like to make a monthly contribution, or just find out about some of the things that we're doing, take some of our classes, whatever you would like to do, you can do so at our website. And also our contact number and email address is there as well. So today we are going to have coffee and conversation, and we're going to spill the tea. I know they was like, what? So I started to say coffee and conversation, but some people are like, well, I don't like coffee. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll spill the tea. Well, I don't drink tea. Okay, so I can never please everybody. I learned that business 101, you never make everybody happy. So I decided to put the two together and okay, look. And if you don't drink coffee or tea and you only drink water, do what you do, okay? So today we're going to have coffee and conversation. We're going to talk about business topics, and we're going to give some juicy inside information on how you too can be successful and some of the things that we went through that we would like to save you some headaches, some time, and some money, some mistakes that we made, and how we pushed through, and how we're blessed to be here. And of course, we are not perfect. We have not all arrived, but we are on our way, and we know that we're in the right place at the right time, and we're glad to be here with you. So, for what I'm going to do, it's kind of random conversation because we got several members on, and we want to give everybody a chance to say something. So we're just going to jump right in. I'm not going to hold you guys long. This will probably be one of our most interesting sessions. And for all of you faithful fans that have watched every episode, we really, really appreciate you. So just bear with us as we try something different. And so in business, sometimes you have to do something different. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we know next time. So nothing is wasted. It's either you made a profit or you learned a lesson. All right, and so that's what we want to we want to make some profits. We've learned some lessons. I don't know about you guys, but I I think I got my share of lessons. I'm ready to get to the profit. So I'm going to start with Miss Kataja first. She is one of our newest members, and I want to say she might be the youngest, maybe. And so we welcome her, and we are grateful to have her here with us. She has a nonprofit organization as well as a for-profit business. So the first thing, I'm going to dive right in. We have some other members that are on. They are behind the scenes, but that's okay. They're going to come on and they're going to voice their opinions, ask their questions, answer some questions. And I'll get a chance to tell you more about each one of them as we go along. So Kataja, I'm going to start with you. What happened in 2020 and 20? Well, I call 2021 part two of 2020. This is like part two to me. So how are you doing, and what did you do different in your business that got you where you are now?
Okay, so in 2019 we launched the Gap movement, and everything was well. Everything, we were going steady. We had a large gathering, following that was growing day by day. We had summer camps, we had brunches. Everything was going well, and then 2020, everything exploded. So we came to a screeching halt. We couldn't host any more seminars. We couldn't host any more summer camps, nothing in person. So what I had to do was kind of regroup and switch over to more of the virtual world that we all have been introduced to. And so that was the biggest change that we went through. And it's hard because I work with teenagers and children that were already like, they weren't into the virtual. I mean, even the adults didn't know how to really maneuver around Zoom. And so this was a brand new world for everybody. So we've been off to a slow start. 2021, here we are. We're moving forward. We're getting everything. Everybody's kind of like, okay, the classrooms, we taught everybody how to do the Zoom, so we launched a book club that is kind of more of a virtual instead of in person. YouTube. And so we're adapting to the new norm. It's been a rocky road, but we're smoothing it out. Everybody is kind of more excited now that we're getting started again and trying to figure out the new ways to introduce new members to the old members. And so it's been a ride, but it's been fun.
Yes, yes. And I would think, and I heard you say that you work with teenagers and that they had to embrace the virtual world, but I just thought that this would have been right up their alley because they like to text, they like to do everything on their phone. So I was like, this was perfect for them. But like you just said, a lot of them had challenges with the virtual
Yes.
world.
Yeah, I think it was more of like just when you had teenagers who are like, yeah. I have a 14-year-old who's a cheerleader and she's a very active Beta Club member. And so it really was like hope for them as well, because they went from being always around their friends and just like sneaking texting in class, then to actually being in class on a computer. And I don't think nobody was ready for that. And that kind of burned them out from being on there more than actually being happy, than being like, this is the structure. Like, that's not fun. So it was hard for them to adapt to that part of the virtual world.
Okay. All right, ladies, those of you who are behind the scenes, you have anything you want to add to that? Any questions? What is your spiel? How did 2020 and part two of 2020 affect you and your business?
Well, for me, I'm Danielle Nicole Black, guys. Thank you for having me on. For me, having life at a standstill actually introduced me to the business world, and it opened my eyes to a lot of possibilities. Because when you're working a 9 to 5 job, you're not really thinking about what else you can do. Your mind is not really open. You're kind of focused on that 9 to 5. You're tired, you're burned out, and you're just trying to get through it. But having the world stand still really opened my eyes to the possibilities of, starting my own business, starting my own nonprofit, especially with my 9 to 5 job being up in the air and there not being a whole lot of certainty, because a lot of people lost their jobs during that time. So it really expanded my mindset and opened my mind and said, okay, I can do this. I can do a nonprofit organization. I can do a for-profit business and really, launch myself into success so that I'm working for myself. And, I'm the sole proprietor of my businesses, and I'm not depending on a 9 to 5 job to say, you're hired or you're fired, or you can continue to work, or you can no longer, work. So I think in that aspect, it was very good for us, us people that are just stuck in our ways, just had that 9 to 5 mindset. It kind of opened a lot of our minds to a whole nother world that we knew existed, but really didn't inquire about it.
Right. And one of the things you said really stood out to me. You said that we weren't really paying attention to some of the things that were already within us because we were so focused on the job at hand. And it was always like, well, when one day I'll do such and such, and one day I'll do such and such. And so that one day came because everything was shut down. We were sheltered in place. And so the good part about it, it did make a lot of us pull out of us things that were already in us. Even me as
Right.
a full-time entrepreneur, I was full-time in my own business prior to the pandemic, but there were a lot of things I was sitting on, procrastinating about, and I just would focus on what I was doing. And so, like you said, we were forced to kind of look at like, what else can I do? What else must I
Right.
do? It
Right.
wasn't just about work, getting to it when I felt like it. It was like now it's a survival mode. We got to
Right.
so yeah, so I mean, and and we're not knocking anybody and that has a 9 to 5 or a career. But we're just saying there are some other things we've been done a lot of stuff that we got done in 2020. I know, Danielle, I don't know if you remember, we had a lady that gave a testimony at church that she was supposed to start something back in 2013, and she just did it. And I'm like, you know what? Guilty.
Right, right. Yeah. So it was a lot of dreams and intuitions and visions that we had that we were able to see come to full fruition, because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add something to it before we get to our next topic? I mean, this is still unreal. I know if you have Facebook, it gives you that 1 year ago message will pop up to show you your post from 1 year ago. And on this day 1 year ago, we were all still grasping the fact that we were in a pandemic. So April 7th last year, it wasn't it was a whole new world and so unreal for us. Whether it was personal, whether it was business, we had family members that were dealing with the actual COVID-19. We had businesses that shutting down, schools closing. It just was people pulling money out of bank accounts. It just was a whole panic. And at the same time, you had churches trying to figure out how to get online, how to still reach their congregation. And so it just was a whole lot of different things that went on. And it's not to say that, oh, we're all perfect and better now. We're just saying now we can finally catch our breath a little bit to keep going. For a lot of us, this is just an extension of 2020. And then for some of us, we are finally now looking forward. So 2020 has definitely had its thing. We're now in 2021. And is the past, is it really behind us, or we're just coping with it? Any thoughts on that?
That's how I look at it. I think we're just coping with it. We're still in motions. We're still going through it, despite what everything else is going on and all the political drama behind all of that. We're still technically in a pandemic. We're still technically not gathered the way we want to gather. We're still dealing with social media. We're still dealing with, having to schedule around, some days the girls go to school, some days they don't. Some days, it's like, okay, we're going to start basketball, but then it's like the cases are rising. So now everything goes back down. So it's like we go up and then we go down and then go up and then just go down a little bit and then it goes up. So we're just still walking through this together. It's not over. Right. And I work in the healthcare field, so it's definitely not over.
Right. I get you on that. It's like the minute they say, oh, you can do this, and then you start, oh, well, we can't do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very frustrating. I don't think that we're over. Anyone else before we get to one of our next topics, which we're going to start talking about hair. And I know you guys are wondering, like, what do you mean by that? So, and at any time, if you want to go back to a previous topic, we can. This is a relaxed conversation. We're just going to have some talk about it. So in the business world, hair. So let's talk about it. We, and no slight to any other races, the AK Legacy Foundation is open to every race, to every gender, every religious background. We do not exclude. We are a registered 501(c)(3) organization, and we are not just saying that all are welcome just for the sake of saying it. We truly mean that. It just so happened that I am an African American, a Black female. I mean, so I can't not talk about topics that affect Black ladies because I am one, and I am a female. I am a mom, and so if I was talking about to mothers only, that would be me. If I talked about entrepreneurs, that would be me. So when it comes to the topic of Black women and our hair, and the reason why I'm bringing that up on the business side, and within a business meeting, I'm not going to call the name of the company out. I'm not going to do them that. And they were wondering if they could, they were doing a consultation with me, and they were wondering if they could put a dress code on hair. And I thought about one of our members, Dr. Trina, and I know she doesn't mind me saying that Dr. Trina Pulliam, her company, her organization, partnered with another organization that helped in the state of California of getting those laws passed in other states across the country where people could not be discriminated against because of their hair. And so when they asked me that question, I was like, oh Lord, I'm glad she wasn't in this meeting. Not that she would have been rude or indecent. She just was so passionate about it because it was such an unfairness that a lot of people didn't talk about. What is the proper way to wear your hair? And I have been guilty of wondering that same question. I used to have long hair. Obviously, I cut it all off, but I had very long hair. I wore it straight, even though my own hair is naturally curly. I wore my hair straight. And my daughter had mentioned, she said, Mom, why don't you get some braids for the summer? And I would never get braids. And I was like, because, if I have to get up and do a presentation, I didn't want to be deemed as unprofessional because of my hair. I just really felt like that was, no one never really said it, but it was said. So how do you ladies feel about hair? Do you think certain hairstyles are unprofessional, or does it really matter, or does it depend on the industry? So what do you guys take on that?
I think it depends on the industry. Um, I'm a healthcare provider, and there are rules. And I mean, with every job in society, there's rules. Now, wearing natural hair, of course, I think when people think about hair, and this is just my opinion, they think about styles and cultural styles. And I guess, being a Black woman, I don't necessarily think about it like that as so much as, colors. Some people, you give them an inch, they're going to take a yard. So, if you don't say, also when I work at the hospital, they say you have to have a natural hair color. Okay. So that gives you a large variety. They don't want people coming in there with pink and purple hair and green hair and stuff like that in that hospital setting. They want you to wear your hair pulled back, which I don't see what the issue is. You shouldn't be over patients, over food, or anything with your hair exposed and, flying all over the place.
Right.
So I think it can be a sticky situation, and if it's not asked properly. But I mean, I personally think, and it's again my opinion, I'm a little old school, but you know, people just want to do what they want to do, and that's not always the proper thing to do in all situations.
Right. And I totally agree with you, because if I'm a patient and you're a nurse and you're having to come, I'm in a hospital bed and you're having to come and kind of reach over me, I wouldn't want your braids or your long straight hair if it was,
Right.
however, dangling on my body. So having your hair pulled back, I think that's what being well groomed. Pink hair might not be the thing to do in a professional setting. So I get that. So, but what about um, and that's true, because every job has, even in the military, you can't just have your hair flowing, red carpet ready. You gotta
Right.
have it pulled back. So certain industries, certain jobs, safety hazards. If you work at a bakery, you wouldn't want to have your hair going down a conveyor belt. So you better have it pulled back for your own safety. So, and things like that, we would say it's common sense, but because we're old school. Oh, that's common sense, to tie your hair. No, 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 no. I think we have to spell that out. But what about when it comes to texture? And that this company that I was dealing with, that was my same answer to them. They was like, no, we're not talking about that. And when the way they said it, I was like, oh, you mean if my hair isn't long and straight or blonde, or you want me with, you don't want the natural cornrows or natural curly hair. They don't deem that as professional. And so we had a conversation about it. And because originally I had the same answer you did, Cherie. I was like, hey, pull it back, put a hair net on. That was my no pink hair. I know for like my wedding, I told the girls, look, wear your hair however you want, just don't come with pink and blue hair. So I got that, and it was like, no, we meant it was like, no, not that. So what about natural hair versus, I don't know, I guess European straight hair? I guess it's the only way I can put it. So what do you got? And so for me, for my family, it's a mixture. We have, my family is a mixed race family. So we have some of every kind of hair. And so I was like, oh, okay, so how would you differentiate a person's ability to work based on their hair? So any thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think how somebody wears their hair affects their ability to work. Again, um, the the times that we're going through different times. I mean, you had very few people wearing braids or natural hair. We're really coming out of the stages where people were doing relaxers, or, think about the evolution of hair and just like times of change. I mean, people are having to change their thought processes on natural hair and braids and dreads and things. Um, and I mean, for me personally, as long as it's neat, it's fine. Neat and groomed. I mean, even if you had straight European hair, it needs to be neat and groomed. Um, but it's just society. And society is conforming to a lot of different things that we weren't having to conform to, basically. So hair is always gonna probably be a sticky subject in the workforce, because it's changing, and until people change their attitudes about how they view people, judging them from their covers, it's going to take some time. But in the meantime, if we had to advise people on wearing their hair a certain way or presenting themselves for a job, it's like, if you want the job, do what the people are asking you to do. Now, once you get in the job, then, grow your hair or wear your dreads or whatever. And I mean, it's just kind of like the game of life,
Right.
don't keep shutting yourself out just because of a hair thing, because hair changes,
Right. Right.
you know.
And, right. And I love what the key that stick out to me is neat and groom. I don't care what kind of hair you have.
Exactly.
My husband and my son, they cringe when I'm watching the NBA game. And I'm like, I just need a pair of clippers. I just want to go cut his hair. And it's not because his hair is natural or if he has dreads or whatever. I just like the neat cut. I don't know, like I said, we're kind of old school. I just like clean cut, well groomed. I don't know. It just, to me, and that could be a prejudice. To me, it feels like if you're neat and groomed, you pay attention to detail. But if you're kind of like all over the place, it's like you don't care. And that's a presumption that I have. And that may not be the case. My son, he'll say, well, Mama, we're just expressing ourselves. I'm like, can you get another expression? But I do kick back when they come against the hair texture being natural. That is when I draw the line. I'm like, look, long as it's washed and clean and combed, I don't care what type of grade of hair it is. But like I said, having neat and pulled back. Anybody else want to add anything to that before we move on?
Yes, I like to add. Danielle Black again chiming in. I agree with Sherry. I agree with her that there's a limit in terms of color on your hair. I agree that it needs to be neat. It needs to be groomed. You need to be presentable. I agree with all of those things. And I also agree with it comes from how society feels about our hair has a lot to do with how we feel about our hair within our own culture. For a long time, we elevated those that had long straight hair. We idolized them. We put them on a pedestal. And now we are starting to embrace our natural hair. You know, it's becoming more of a movement. Women are getting tired of losing their hair to relaxers. They're getting tired of over processing their hair and doing all the damaging things that we do to our hair just to keep it straight and to assimilate within the culture. And so now, you know, we are learning how to take care of our hair. You know, I know a lot of women, including myself, we've purchased books about the science and the history of our Black hair. And we're starting to learn that we don't have to wash our hair daily in order to keep it up, that brushes were not made for our hair, that water is a moisturizer for our type of hair. And so the more that we learn about our hair, the more we embrace it and the more we fall in love with what God has given us on our heads, and we uplift it as a culture, society will have no other choice but to respect us in our natural form. And so I think that, yes, we can use our natural hair to look professional. We can look presentable with our natural hair. If it's a small cut, if we're starting out, or if we have big hair, I believe it's beautiful. And I think that if we love it and we uplift each other as a culture and we say, look, this is us, this is what we have to present, we don't feel a need to assimilate because we feel good about it, the more they will accept us when we accept ourselves.
Right, right. And so, like, back to what Cherie said earlier. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was giving her a hand clap because
Oh.
me being probably the youngest of them, I am definitely a part of the, this is me, I'm gonna do me. And, you know, this is because, I mean, people, they treat you different because of hair. Like, it's hair. Are we really going? And trust me, like I said, I work in the healthcare. I completely understand that, you know, come presentable and all of that stuff. And I've also had a job tell us, I mean, real life memo on the time clock, like, don't come with your hair like this, and this. And but then it's like you had another party person, you know, that just rose gold, and just because it was straight and, you know, European hair. And I'm like, now my hair, I mean, it's not rose gold or, you know, purple or anything, but, you know, this is the way that I wear my hairstyle. And but it was only, you can definitely tell, just like you said, when she were like, you know, no, not that type of way, I'm talking about this type of way. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't let her do her natural thing if we can't do our natural thing. And see, me, just because, like I said, I'm a part of the new, you know, I'm 33. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to work like, you know, hey y'all. And then I love my hair. I wear my hair 5 different ways in a week, you know, because I mean, it's not just random. I mean, it's definitely, I've seen way worse. But, you know, it is a part of the dress code. It's not outrageous. It's not, you know, flying everywhere, because I do work with patients and you can't be in that type of setting. But also in the business world, I don't have to really kind of like deal with that, because I wasn't in the in the business world itself. But I've seen what, like she said, what the relaxers do to people trying to fit into this box instead of embracing what they have and just styling it and, you know, educating the people on, this is how our hair grows. Just because it doesn't grow like that for yours shouldn't be the reason why we can't do our jobs. And that's how I'm trying to raise my girls. You know, I have a 14-year-old, so she's going through this. Oh, I want to have my wig all the way 30 inches. Girl, you're not even 30 inches tall. So, you know, that's no. That's a no. So, but I want them to understand, like, embrace this. I grew up, you know, getting my hair pressed out. I hated it, you know, like, I mean, just like every other little Black girl on Easter Sunday getting their hair pressed out. Like, I hated it. I wish I would have been able to embrace my hair growing up. That way it wouldn't have been such a struggle for me now and now I'm like really, I'm super rebellious now because it's like, I'm comfortable with this now. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with this. And then as I started my girls group, I did a brunch, and it was a self-reflection, and it was like things that you don't like about you, things. And I didn't feel comfortable with myself going with my hair weaves and everything. So I took all my hair out, I blow dried my hair out, and I just curled it up. And if I wanted them to tell me what they believed, what they looked like in the mirror, I couldn't look at myself with all this weave in my hair and tell them like, well, I think that I'm beautiful and I love this about me and I love that, when I'm not staring at the real me. So that was one thing that I want to teach my kids, as well as the Gap girls, that embrace your natural. Even like you said, hair changes. You can put in braids or straighten your hair out or whatever the case may be. But embrace who you are when you wake up, no matter what. And hopefully one day we can get to that point where everybody is okay with the way we wake up and choose to wear our hair. Because it's not about our hair, it's about the job at task. That is what we're doing. That's what we came for. And we shouldn't be judged because we have Bantu knots or braids or cornrows or dreads, as long as it's, groomed. And now I'm with you, Candy, about the basketball players. I'm like, oh my God, like, just pick it out a little bit or something, So I understand, Yeah, so I understand, and I love the well-groomed.
I love my NBA players. I love y'all. Y'all know I'm one of the number one basketball fans. I'm a basketball mom.
Me too.
I love y'all, me too. But y'all just. I guess they say, look, I got if I had 40 million in the bank, I just probably wouldn't care what anybody thought about the hair either.
That's right. That's and right.
Like Sheree said earlier, we got to get to that. First, you got to get in the door, get the job, wear the button-up shirt, comb your hair, groom it, get in the door. You can't come up in the interview talking about this is me and this is who I am and take me like I am. No, you're not gonna get the job.
Right. You're not in that type of profession.
Right. Yeah. Until we're there as a society. I mean, like you said, you got to get your foot in the door. We embrace natural. We love, but we're seeing it. I mean, we're seeing the changes, which is a positive thing. In your generation, oh my God, Kataja, y'all are seeing something different. And then I have an 18-year-old. That generation is just gonna blow the roofs off the building.
Yeah.
They like, this is me. Deal with it. If you don't like it, too bad. And it's very interesting to see that. It
is.
It's interesting, and I mean, I'm happy, because it's forcing people to make change, and change is well overdue.
Right. I think we would have to have a whole show on hair. So we're going to move on to our next topic. And I'm tickled because Kataja mentioned the 30-inch hair. My daughter currently has braids and they are knee-length, but she's in fashion. So like in her industry, that's like, oh, that's what they wear, but because she's in fashion. Yeah. But I was like, girl, do it have to be that long? But that's me, mom, old school. And so I was so tickled when you said that. My daughter is 24, so I don't think it's gonna get any better, Kataja. You just getting started.
Yeah, I'm just getting started. And whatever she does, my 9-year-old and 6-year-old is like, I'm next. No.
Yes. So we're going to be praying for you.
Thank you. I'm going to need them.
So that kind of brings us right into our next topic, support system. We have some differences just in this conversation we just had about the hair. We can hear that we have some similarities, some things we agree about, some things we may not agree about. But at the end of the day, we're here to support one another. So I want to talk about support in business. When it comes to the nonprofit organization that we represent right here, the AK Legacy Foundation, which we're open to serve any business owner or anyone that wants to learn about business, whether you're male or female. But we have an organization within that called Women in Business. And when you hear that, a lot of people's like, oh my gosh, how are you guys getting along? And I'm like, this organization is the best women organization on the planet. We have a phenomenal support system. We work together. We support one another. We're not like, oh, I sell cakes. Why is she trying to sell cakes? It's not like that. We're making phone calls. Hey, how do you make the cake do this? And, or, we're collaborating. We're crossing each other. So is a support system important in business? What are some of the things, some challenges you've had? I know a lot of times some of the ladies have mentioned, not just in this organization, but in others, they don't have the family support, or they may say their spouses don't support their business. So they gravitate to organizations like Women in Business sometimes just for the support system. So what do you guys take on having a good support system?
Go ahead.
I have something, Danielle Black again. When it comes to a support system, I found that, the more that you work on yourself, it all comes back to self, yourself. When you work on yourself and you elevate within you and you're happy and your heart is about service, you don't have any jealousy in your heart is filled with purpose, you have a willingness to help others, you have compassion, you have empathy, you tend to attract those types of people. And so you will notice, throughout your life, as your friendships evolve, a lot of people may have fallen off because as you grow, a lot of people don't always grow with you. But when you grow, you attract yourself. You magnetize circles of people like you. And so it's so exciting to me to be a part of Women in Business because I have not experienced any of the cattiness or the jealousy or, the things that come along with immature women that are in groups. But here, everyone has always been so great. Everyone has always been so supportive, especially you, Candy. You have been a great support system for me. All my questions, my 101 questions that I ask throughout the day, needing clarification. I know that it's a group of women that I can depend on. And so, yes, thank you to Women in Business and the AK Legacy Foundation. And thank you to God for giving you the vision, Candy, to bring women, positive women, affluent women, together in business, because we can do business in love. We don't have to be catty. We don't have to be mean and rude to each other. We don't have to, worry about someone else getting more than we have. We can all get it together and we can help each other. And so I'm so grateful for this platform where we can encourage each other and be each other's personal cheerleaders, and motivators to push us all to the next level, because there's a place at the table for each and every one of us. And we can do that in unison.
Right. And Danielle, tell us really quick. I mean, that's so beautiful words. I really appreciate that. That was really the vision that I set out, because when God gave it to me back in 2018, and I was like, I don't know about no women's group. I was the one. I was like, I'm gonna be dealing with a bunch of women. And he said, it's okay, because I said, I don't want to be against men, because a lot of women groups are like, they male bash. And I was like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a fan of the men. So I don't, I got a husband and I'm not trying to male bash. I got a son. I have, I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to put down on men to be a part of something. And the Lord, just kind of led me to, he said, every group, whether it's a minority group or whatever, every group has somebody to advocate for them. And he said, so every group it's okay. Just like if we had a children's group like Kataja, you're going to advocate for children. So he was like, it's okay to have somebody speak up, just like the nurses. They might have a nurses union. And so they're going to have somebody that's going to speak up just for nurses. So he said, it's okay to have a women's group. You're not excluding other people. You're just saying, hey, for this patch of grass, I'm taking care of it. So I was like, okay, since he put it that way, And that was one of my biggest concerns. I was like, I don't want it to be, it needs to be a safe place. I don't want a mean girl club. I have been mistreated by the mean girls before, whether it was in high school, whether it was in ministry, whether it was in corporate America. I know how it feels to walk past a group and know that that's the mean girl club over there and you're not a part of it. And so that was one of the things I did not want. I did not want the mean girl club. So I made it my business to, that's one of the things I work hard about. And so having a support system is very important because it'll make or break you. You can be on the top of the mountain and this gonna be your best brownie you ever baked. And we could tell you, sis, that brownie just wasn't good, but we could do it in love. We're not gonna be like over in the corner, like, girl, I can't believe she over there thinking them brownies taste good. No, we're gonna come to you and we're gonna say, look, you gotta take it out the brown paper bag. Let's get some pretty boxes to put it in. We're gonna rally around, and instead of talking about one another, let's pray. Let's talk about it. Even if we have a disagreement, we're gonna work it out and we're gonna do it in love. And I think a support system will determine if you are successful or not. I know a lot of times people say, well, I'm self-made and I don't need nobody. I don't think that's so. I think everybody needs a support system.
I think with this past pandemic, everybody being home and isolated, it also gave a platform, where people could communicate. Especially, I've been surprised by the number of people from the different places. It's not just local, and that's a beautiful thing, connecting women across the country, like-minded women. And again, the calls, like you say, it offers support, but it also, lets you communicate in a time where communication, was different, and that's been a big support, you know, because we were all really away from people in a normal sense that we're, so you get to meet new people. So that's a blessing, you know. And like you said, like-minded people, positive attitudes, uplifting, you know, like Danielle said, just everybody, helping everybody and not trying to step on anybody to get to the top, but we pulling each other up, there's a difference. So that's been the good support, I feel like it's been supportive.
Yeah, I like what you said. You said during the pandemic, we've been forced to, not forced, but it has really pulled us together because we all were in someone mentioned that we were all in the same boat, for a moment in time. And for the majority of us, we have empathy and we've been willing to listen. I've learned so much about so many different people. I was like, man, I would have never known that. And it just gave us a chance to understand that everything else that we used to fuss about don't even matter. Stuff it don't even matter. It don't even matter.
Support meant a lot in 2020. Just for me personally, I grew up in a single family, single mother home, and my grandpa was in the military, and she had the military lifestyle. Like, we got up and moved. We moved. I went to like different schools. So that made me have to adapt to being the new girl. It made me adapt to being, instead of just closing off, because I knew it'd probably be a little while and then we'll move again. But that made me the social butterfly that I am. It just made me, want to, oh, well, I know this person, my cousin all the time, she's like, I only went to the same elementary school, the same middle school, and the same high school, and we all and you were able to go here and there, and everybody's like, everybody. And so then I moved to Mississippi. I was here again. Now I was grown. I had a daughter, but that made me the new girl again. But it was fine. That was something that I strived in. So I met friends. I made friends. I was like, okay, this isn't who I want to be around. And then, so I just maneuvered, so it was fine. And so that helped me kind of, build up a support group kind of. But like I said, I had to get through all, okay, this is okay, y'all, you know, and I'm not judgmental. I don't believe what I hear. I always give people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes it burned me, sometimes it didn't, you know, but it was fine. That was a part of the growth. That's life. And what I was so used to being around people and having this, you know, free spirit. Hey, you know, talking to anybody. That's how me and Miss Candy met, just randomly seeing each other at the expo. And it just went from there and it grew into this, which was amazing, you know. But, you know, God made me the social person that was able to just walk up to somebody and spark a conversation, and you know, it go from there. But when 2020 came, and I traveled, I took my kids everywhere we can go. I mean, I was off every other weekend, like 3-4 days at a time. Me and my kids just get up and go. And I used to be mad at my mom because that's how she did us, and I was like, I don't want to keep just bouncing around. But that was, I of course live in a stable place, but we just always went to Colorado, went to Florida, Georgia. I mean, I have family everywhere, friends everywhere, of course. But when 2020 came, oh, it hit us so hard because now it's like, it's so sad to say, but it's the truth. This is my truth. I'm stuck in the house with 3 girls and we can't go anywhere. And I've never had to do that, you know. And so it kind of was like, you know, I'm like, so it was hard and I needed some support because now, like, I was into, like I said, I started my girls group and now we can't do that. I mean, thank God I was still able to work, but I mean, we worked so much that it burned us out. And then the girls, they were here. They, you know, you couldn't move them around the way you wanted to. We couldn't go out to eat when they, you know, we had a long week or whatever. Everybody was just trapped in the house. And it literally drove all of us crazy. And so
look,
that was hard.
And Kataja, for us, for me, I don't know about some of the other ladies, but I was like, thank God I ain't got to commute. I don't got to get fully dressed. We in the house. We ain't got to go nowhere. So Kataja was like, she's stuck in the house. And we were like, I was like, thank God, you know.
I like my house, but not to be trapped in here for a whole year with 3 girls screaming at each other. That was not a part of my plan. So I really needed a support system outside of the girls. And then, like I said, it was hard for me to not even work because, well, not work, but it was hard for me to do my nonprofit because I have little kids who do not understand the virtual world. So now we're completely cut off from everybody. And it was hard. My family, my grandma, she lives in Colorado, and it was hard for me to even reach out to her because it was just phone calls. I go home every week, every year, and now I can't see her. And so it was kind of hard to adjust to that. And, you know, I just was cut off from the world, and I took a hard hit.
So what was your support system?
Now I had to surround myself around like-minded people. So that was when I actually started to focus on your group, your women in business. Okay, because now I'm forced to do what I said I was going to do. Instead of using my personal time and taking them everywhere, I had to focus. And the only way I was going to focus is if I surrounded myself around like-minded people. And thank God I was able to meet you at the time before it shut down, so that it gave me that outlet and support that I needed to continue to make it to the end of this pandemic. And I cannot thank you enough.
Well, you got to thank the group as a whole, because it wasn't just
yes.
me. I have an awesome board of directors, volunteers, and the other members of the VIP members. As a whole, we as a whole make women in business. I would dare not take all the credit for it. God just gave me the vision and I started it. But I'm blessed. I always tell you, I gotta have you on, Kataja, because your energy, you know, who else is gonna bring this much bubbling joy to the group? We gotta have you. So I think the support system is important. You know, back to what we all had to cope with things personally. Some, you know, we can't put it on a scale, some greater than others. And so I think I thank God that we were able to have it in motion before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, we all were kind of able to gravitate with one another, professional, like-minded women. But at the same time, we're not stuffy. You know, you don't have to put on and be perfect to be in this group. So I really appreciate, I want to take the time to thank all of the Women in Business VIP members, and whatever role you play, whether you're just, I tease y'all a lot. Some of y'all are like gym memberships. Y'all pay the gym membership and I don't see y'all. So yeah, I'm calling y'all out, get involved, but that's appreciated too. Just the mere fact that you would so into that you would pay dues or membership, because at some point you saw some value in it. Whether you're the volunteer of the year or not, it doesn't matter. Whatever part you play in, it's important. And nothing is greater than the other when it comes to that. So I just want to thank everybody. And I thank you guys for hopping on. We got a few more topics that we're going to talk about. I see Miss Cassie is on here. Oh man, I really wish she was on here when we were talking about hair. She could have gave us a whole mouthful, but that's okay, Cassie. We're going to get you in on the next topic. So let's, Cherie, did you want to add something before I move on?
No, you can move on.
Okay, so let's talk about faith and business. So, my husband, he should have been a news anchor because he was watching MSNBC the other day, and there was a commentary on. He called me like, "Hey, you need to come see this," and I was like, "Lord, who done what?" But when I got in there, they were talking about virtual, how a lot of the churches were forced to close because of the stay-home shelter, and a lot of the churches have gone virtual. Membership has increased, but in-person attendance have decreased, but it was already on a decline before the pandemic. And so now that the pandemic hit, now it was even more so people who didn't want to go into the physical house, they had an excuse now. Like, I ain't got to go to church. All I got to do is click it on. And so when it came to business, the church, a lot of the churches felt like that using Zoom and things like that was for the business world and not to bring it into the house of faith. And so for us, for some of us, not all of us, but for most of us that are members, we are of the Christian faith. And this organization is founded on that. I'm not about to start preaching, anything like that, even though I am an ordained licensed minister. That's not what I'm about to do. But what I'm getting at is like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all those things that was deemed fit for business is now being used in faith. And so in our personal, if you want to share, how is your faith walk affecting your business affecting your faith walk? Do you see the two working together, or is it like, hey, I'm at church, then I flip a switch and now I'm in business? So how do you guys navigate through that? Because in business, they know I don't play. This is the deal. This is what we're doing. But when it comes to ministry, I had to learn early on. My pastor had to say, you can't be like that in church. I'm like, well, the Bible said, and that's that. And you should, he was like, you can't be like that. You got to show some love. I was like, well, the Bible said. So I had to learn how to be, how to soften that. And I thank God, I think I'm doing a better job and not have the whip and chain with the organizations or the auxiliaries that I'm over. So in business and in faith, how do you guys navigate through that? Cassandra, you want to hop on? Anybody want to say anything?
Yes. I have to say that especially during this pandemic, it was a real test of faith, and bringing that faith into my business. I'm the type of person that has always, I've loved people and I've loved helping people. And I'm the person that would forget to turn in my timesheets at work because I just love what I did, right? And it's like, no, we need to pay you. Please turn in your timesheets. Okay, stop playing, And so this pandemic became a real testament to my faith. It gave me pause to look inward and to kind of examine things and challenge beliefs that I had, Was it that I loved what I did so much that I didn't care about getting paid? Or was it that I did not value what I brought to the table as much, or I didn't think that it was as much value as it was,
Wow.
And so it really had me challenge those beliefs. And God just blessed me to be in spaces like Women in Business, like with other like-minded women, you know, even outside of Women in Business that God just sent to pour into me to just be like, hey, sis, what we doing? You know, no, you know your worth. You charging what? No, ma'am. You need to pray about that. And it was really a huge blessing. So it really, my faith had to come up, for lack of better words, you know, and because it did have to come up or elevate, it really started to show in my business and even in, you know, organizing Black Women Do Heal, you know, in the middle of a pandemic, you know, which I
By the
probably
way, is an awesome organization. Black Women Do Heal, and it's awesome. I love the magazine. Can't wait till it come out, but okay.
thanks, sis. But you know, I probably would not have done that. I probably would, you know, have just had this idea and, you know, been talking myself out of not doing it basically, you know. And it was nothing but God just really putting me in a space where it was like I had to trust him. I had to depend on him. And now, okay, you said, okay, Lord, your word said, prove me. So I'm going to prove you, and to trust that he knew the how. I just needed to trust that he would and do my part. And as I did that, by God's grace and mercy, things started to happen, doors started to open, and there still are. And I never would have thought that this time last year, I'd be sitting here just a little over a year, you know, having basically worked for myself, you know, which was an answer to a prayer, you know. And it's just mind blowing. But yes, I would have to say that there was definitely faith in business, because I could not have done this and cannot be doing it now if it were not for having faith in God and allowing the process to increase my faith. You know, when things get tough, just being able to look back and say, okay, he did this last year. He did this a few months. He worked this out. And now, okay, he'll work this out too, you know? And so it was just a real testament. And also being able to see him do that in my sister's lives around me. You know, I can see him operating in Candy's life and Kitty's life. Yeah, I'm calling folks out. I can see him.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, call us out. Call us out. I'm gonna be calling some names too.
But you know, I can see him doing that, you know, and it's just another testament. You know, sometimes I think that we can get so wrapped up in what's going on in our heads and in our hearts that we forget that there are others around us, and that if God did it for them, he will do it for us, you know. And so it was such a testament. It was such a testament.
When we were talking about the support system earlier,
Mhm.
not having to be envious of somebody else's business ideas. I think we have 2 or 3 ladies in here in this group that do t-shirts, that do graphic design. We're able to, we may pull on Cherie to do something, and then we go with Candace to do something else. And we may reach out to Felicia, who has a graphic design company. So it's just, because we're thinking about it, we're just spreading it around. Or if I give Cherie, I need 100 shirts and I need them by tomorrow. She can't do them all by tomorrow, but thankfully we got enough people we can give her. So it's, to me, it's a blessing to have multiple people that can do some of the same things.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes, most certainly. And that was the other thing, just the beauty in the collaboration.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you, that has blessed my heart so. It has increased my faith, but it's also blessed my heart just to see women working together. And it's so beautiful, and it's so dispelling of the myth that we as women can't work together, that we can't be together without it being bickering and fussing and fun. It knocks it clear out the water, because I can say, no, but
Yeah, we can work together, you know.
We
'Cause y'all
can.
yeah, because y'all don't want me to take my earrings off. No.
But it's so beautiful and it's so encouraging. So it's just like I said, it was just this whole time, it has just increased my faith so much, and I'm so thankful.
That's awesome. Awesome. Anyone
You
else?
see all these beautiful pictures and smiles and all these
Oh,
beautiful
these pictures are the bomb.
That's
Look, these pictures are the bomb. Now, how we looking for real? I mean, you know,
Put my picture back up. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's why my picture is up there right now.
There's my picture.
Runway ready, baby. I'm talking about walk in and stop the show. I love it. I love it.
You can tie that wig on too. I was trying to be cute.
Okay. Rose Queen, that's what I'm talking about.
And I don't know how it looks on you guys in, but my two pictures are side by side. There's the picture with me with my long hair, and there's the picture with me with my short hair. So hey, we changed, and that's actually my hair.
And that's the beauty of being a woman. You can change.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, guys. This episode is for the ladies. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I would like to piggyback on everything that Cassandra said, you know, in terms of faith and business. I believe that when God gives you a vision and you truly feel it and you truly believe it, you are willing to invest everything that you have emotionally, everything that you have spiritually, you know, financially. You are willing to invest in it. You take the risk because you believe wholeheartedly that God has your back and that the purpose that he has put in your heart, the vision that he has put inside of you is bigger than your bank account, you know, and it's bigger than anything that you could ever imagine, because people are waiting to be united. People are waiting to be healed. They're waiting to be elevated. They're waiting to be educated. And so when God puts that inside of you, you know, as a result of your faith, you are willing to invest everything you have because you believe in God and you know that anything that God gives you, the outcome is going to be great.
Right. I'm telling you, you got to have faith. And one of the things between what Danielle and what Cassandra said about knowing your worth and knowing you got to have faith to do that and to just step out. I mean, you just can't. Entrepreneurship is not for those that are not. That's just my personal opinion. I know we all have skills and talent, and a lot of times we'll hear people say, I've heard people say I'm self-made. You know, a lot of times we hear cliches or hear things and it sounds good, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to wear that title because I need God favor in my business. I want to make sure that I get the customers, that they pay me, you know. I'm not trying to just, you know, just be out here. And so so I think having faith, knowing that we're blessed with the skills and talents that we all have. I think all of us can attest to something we learned in 20. You should have learned something that you can do in 2020. Should have learned something new. If it was just one Spanish word or something, you should have learned something new in 2020. There is no reason that none of us should say we didn't learn anything new. I've learned how to do something. But at the same time, even though our skills and talent, I truly believe, my opinion, we gotta have faith. Gotta have a support system. You gotta have faith. There's no way that we could. That's just like I said. It's my opinion. It's my podcast, my webcast. I can say it, but it's just the way I talk about it. But anyone, anyone.
And I just want to say one more thing. When it comes to faith in business, if you want to save time, we have to trust God for the plan. You know, because if we try to do it in our own way and in our own might, it's going to be a lot of do-overs. It's going to be a lot of wasted money, a lot of wasted time. And so if you just wait on God, he will put the right people in your life. You know, he will give you the structure. He will give you the plan. And sometimes it's not all up front. It's as you go. And so, because he wants you to trust him every step of the way.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
You just said a whole word.
Thank you.
Yes. As you go.
Amen.
Man, I mean,
Amen. Yes.
can you
I
go?
just,
Everybody
Y'all like my
putting
cup? Cherie did my cup for me, y'all. Y'all like the cup?
oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. So you can
Yes.
go on our website
everybody
and order
putting
one.
God first in their
Huh?
faith. I say I love that everybody is putting their faith in God first and speaking on God and everybody in this particular group, because that's very uplifting to everyone to know that, again, like-minded people, thinking the same way and knowing we didn't get where we are without faith and without God, you know, and putting God first. My journey and my story is different from a lot of you ladies, and I'm not going to get into it tonight. But it's this faith walk. This 2020 was a faith walk, literally, for me. Candy knows.
Right, right.
Um, and so having you women speak up on it and talking about God and faith, it's truly a blessing.
Yeah.
And for
And
me, the Zoom calls, and actually, I joined a church. I live in Slidell. I joined a church that's based out of North Carolina. Because of the what I was witnessing and what I was getting, from watching that via Zoom, which I thought was amazing, you know.
yes.
And so again, faith, walking, trust, believe, and receive. That was the message that I got, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
And so that's what I've been doing. I've been having to trust God, you know, believe in him and then receive the blessings, you know, for walking in faith. So
Yes, and you're truly an inspiration to me as well, Cherie. Well, we're not gonna get in here because we're gonna really need some Kleenex. But you are truly, truly it might like Dr. Phil, one of those shows where they bring the Kleenex out. I have to give me somebody to bring me some Kleenex out. But anyway, you're truly a blessing. And one of the things about being the team leader, is what I'm gonna call it for women in business. Um, Being a team leader, I get to see and hear a lot of your stories. Like Cherie mentioned, I know her story. Kataja, I know when we're in business, we put our best foot forward because we are presenting products and services, and we need people to have faith in our products and services. So we don't necessarily come before people broken. We come before them well put together, like our pictures. We come together with it. I mean, and we do honestly offer quality products and quality service. I can say that about each and every one of the members of the group. But at the same time, as the team leader, I'm like, wow, that's such an inspiration that you can get on this presentation. I can see you guys in sales. Some of you are dealing with clients, and I see you working in action. And I can truly say God is really blessing her. God is with her because I know the other story. But you have to flip the switch. You got families to take care of. You got business you got to take care of. So you got to get in there. You just got to do it. And I truly believe the only way that we do a lot of what we do, or all of what we do, is because of what God has had his hands on us. And it's never to say that we just got it all together, but we do have it all together in the sense that we know that we're not going to give anybody any junk for his product. We're not going to give any shabby service because we know what we have been through to get here. We didn't just wake up and miraculously had the $1 million idea and money falling out the sky. I don't know any of the members out of the members that we have that just had it fall out the sky. But we are some bomb people. We offer some great products and services. So if you're not familiar with the AK Legacy Foundation, please go there, patronize these businesses. We are definitely, we're not doing it at a no cost, but we're not doing it just for the money. So with that being said, we put our hearts into our products and services. We're not gonna let anybody take advantage of us, but we're gonna go above and beyond. I know that's a total sidebar. We have about 10 minutes left, and we have 2 more topics, and so I'm gonna just kind of be really quick with those 2. All of these topics could righteously have their own show. And it's so good when we get together. We don't even want to get off of here, but we can't be on here all night. So we got about 10 minutes. And I want to kind of talk about racial divide. I know back in, well, this episode marks our 1 year. April marks 1 year that we've been doing Ask the Experts. It started because I was doing in-person interviews. Well, of course, pandemic, so I had to pivot to online, move all the classes online. And out of that, Dr. Katrina Pulliam was scheduled to come down to New Orleans and do a class with us. And we were going to cancel it. And she said, you know what? She said, let's just move it virtual. And we just kind of piggyback and got some ideas. And we did our first virtual last April. And so this episode marks 1 year. I want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in with Ask the Experts. Continue to follow us. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you are a female entrepreneur or aspiring to be one, consider joining Women in Business. Go to our website, aklegacyfoundation.org. I'll put it back on the screen in a little bit. Go and find out how to enroll. This is going to be great. Membership, this will be the year to get in. All of our members that are on now, your membership is lifetime amount. Starting in 2022, we will pivot over to our official membership cost, which was supposed to start in 2020, but then the pandemic hit. And so we were like, you know what, just leave it as it is. But 2022, we will turn back over to our regular membership. So this will be the year to enroll with a discount and, just kind of take advantage of it now while it's on the floor. People like Oprah's gonna be calling us pretty soon. We'll try to squeeze her in our schedule. No, all seriousness, we really love what we do, and we pray that we continue to be humble. But we're going to talk about racial divide. Since we started, we've always danced around because we didn't want to be controversial. And I wanted to make sure that I kept all the topics business orientated. But I later found out about 6 months into the filming of Ask the Expert, we're human. Everything that happens in our communities affect our business. I remember asking one of the questions to one of the panelists one time: is it insensitive to advertise our business in the middle of a pandemic? Are we being insensitive when you have people like George Floyd losing their life, and now we're trying to sell a product or a service? And so we had a whole conversation about that. And so I realized we can't talk about business without talking about the things that affect our community, because the community is who patronize our business. So we do have to be conscious of the things that happen in our society and not be insensitive, but remain professional. I try not to get into politics a lot, because that can just really be, because we do have to be mindful that we are a brand and that we want our products and services to sell, but without selling our soul. So let's talk about the racial divide. How has that impacted your business, whether it's positive or negative? Any thoughts on how racial divides happen in business?
In my nonprofit, because I work with children, and the only reason why I didn't even know it was an issue within the GAP movement until another Caucasian lady had asked me, well, my grandbaby might want to be in it, but she's not Black. And I was like, she doesn't have to be. And she was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we offer it to everybody. It's not just a Black thing or a white thing. And I don't want people to think that just because I am a Black woman, I have 3 Black girls, and my community is majority Black people, that excludes anybody else. We're open to anybody and everybody. And for that reason, of course, the younger kids, they might not understand what's going on, but definitely the older teenagers, tweens, that's some of the topics that we want to discuss, is because they watch TV as well. They are on Instagram and all that social media, so they know what's going on. And I wanted to be able to have an open discussion from everybody's point of view. So that's one thing that I'm trying to bridge the gap within my own organization, that I didn't know was an issue until it brought to me, because I grew up in it was everybody. I mean, we were a melting pot. I'm from Colorado, so it was everybody. But out here, I didn't realize how black and white it was, and I had to make sure that they knew that that's not, we're open to everybody for that reason, because I want everybody's different perspective. Like, if you don't know unless you talk about it. So that's something that we are trying to do in my organization.
That's awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that. Women in business, we have women of all races that are members. We have Hispanic, we have Caucasian, we have African American, we have mixed race. So it's just we're a melting pot. It's, of course, it's predominantly Black on roll, and that's probably because of our culture or because of our family. And when we like something, we tell somebody else. So it just kind of appears that we have more members that are African American, but we're open to all women. For the women in business portion, it's for women only. You can't be a guy and join women in business.
Yeah.
So any female of any race. Now for the foundation, the AK Legacy Foundation is open to men and women and people of all races. But so I'm glad you brought that out, Kataja. So we have to have the conversation. What are our clientele? My clients are mixed. I have white, I have Black. And I think that, so is it important? Now, there are some businesses that are, for example, Cassandra, your organization, I know you get that question because of the name of it. So how do you deal with it?
Well, for me, with Black Women Do Heal being a safe space for Black and women of color, I simply explain it like that. Even more so in today's culture, when some of us have experienced more microaggressions and racism and stuff that we had not previously experienced before, having a safe space that we could come and talk, that we could come and discuss things like care, like trauma, in regards to how it affects us is important. And I think it's needed and necessary, and that you just can't really have too many of those spaces. At the same time, because I'm very recovery minded and person centered, and I understand that our healing is interconnected. On the flip side, I do have a coaching business that I do. And, I work with a therapist and offer coaching services for him as well. And so I see clients that are purple and polka dotted as well as Black. And that is, for me, that's how, I give back and make sure the inclusivity is there. And if conversations come up, then yes, we can talk about it, because of course that's how healing in between races happens, right? Even with some of my peer friends, we have those conversations about the differences and about how we can come together and have unity or what have you, right? But with Black Women Do Heal, yes, it is a safe space for us. And there was a time I would have been really, really meek to say that, but just recognizing that there was a need for it, that God would not have put it on my heart for no reason. I can say that boldly and it not be an affront to my Caucasian brothers and sisters or those of other races, but this is just a space for us. So that's just how I kind of explain it. But I do make sure to interact with others, and I've had actual some colleagues and even some former classmates that wanted to support Black Women Do Heal because they saw the work that we were doing that were Caucasian, and they wanted to know, hey, can we give? How can we support? Is there anything that we can do? And it's like, absolutely. But they are, just mindful and respectful that this is a space in a community that we're building for us, just for healing. And it's not that eventually we won't start having some other conversations, but right now, as we're building it, it's for us.
Right. And I like what you said. You said there was a need for it. So as just come on, keep it real. We're entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs by heart. It runs through our blood. We see a need, and we provide. We just start thinking of solutions. We, if we see something like, that's a puddle of water. Why everybody keep getting wet? Let me go get some dirt. And put it in there.
Exactly.
We want to fix everything, and so we have to sometimes we have to say, no, I can't fix that. I need to stick to doing this because we're all over the place trying to fix everything. And so you saw fit that was the one thing at least that God said, look, hey, Cassandra, I need you to head this up, make a safe place for Black women to come and get some healing so that they can go out and have professional attitudes when they're out in business. They will want us to go get healed and come back.
Yes, because those are, our space is a space where you don't have to put on a front. You don't have to use your code switching skills or your code mastery. You can just be yourself. We can talk about it or you can not talk about it. If you need a minute just to listen in, if that camera needs to be off that day because it's a rough day and it was enough for you to make it to the session, hey, turn that camera off and come on and get some. That this is literally a safe space, and we want it to be recovery minded, person centered. Let's talk about these things. Let's get some healing going. So yeah, absolutely. This is what we want it to be, and I'm so thankful to be able to do it. But yeah, it's that space so that you can go back out here and fight in this jungle with the arm of the Lord.
Right. Anyone else want to add before we conclude our session for today?
Yeah, I wanted to add in that I don't believe that it's insensitive to advertise our businesses during a pandemic, primarily because there are people in need of our services. People need, especially at this time, they need budgeting strategies. They need healing in their relationships, and I just think that it's not insensitive of us to put it out there to give a helping hand. Yes, we are getting paid in the midst, or getting donations or gaining funding or whatever it is, but at the same time we're doing an exchange. We're providing a service that people need in order to live a better life, live a more quality life. And so I don't think it's unfair at all. They're going to find business somewhere. So it should be us.
Right. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And if I may piggyback off of that, because I love it too, but it's also a reminder that we did not see Coke stop advertising because we were in a pandemic.
Right.
Nike didn't stop advertising because we were in a pandemic. FedEx, Apple, none of these places stopped advertising. If anything, we saw them advertising even more because they knew they had a captive audience. Hence Amazon, And
man, don't even say Amazon. They ain't missed a beat. I promise you. That every house now is people used to, well, they probably still do steal packages, but now people weren't even stealing packages no more because there was so much Amazon.
So much Amazon, right? And so none of those places stopped. And I think that, that's one thing is even more so as women, we have to give ourselves the permission to be like, okay, it's business. And Danielle is right. We are providing a service. We are providing quality goods. We are providing what we're providing in exchange, but so is McDonald's, Yeah. And they don't stop advertising. They don't stop recruiting, and I think that is, kind of a sign. Hey, no, it's not insensitive because people still have to eat. Like she said, people still gonna need to know how to budget. People still gonna need to know how to invest because we're in a pandemic now. We will not be always, and how to heal and all of that. So I think it's definitely needed. Thank you so much, Danielle, for that.
Yeah. Anyone else to add anything about any topic that we talked about today? We talked about how we pivot, how we talked about our hairstyle. We talked about support groups in business. We spoke about racial divide. We talked about one other thing we talked about, and about how to become a member of Women in Business and how to support the AK Legacy Foundation, where we thrive on financial literacy and business development. And so I want to give all the ladies an opportunity, if you can take 10 seconds, like 10 seconds, because I know all of us love to talk. So that's one thing we all have in common. We love to talk. So we can take about 10 seconds. Let me put this on the view for speaker view. And if you want to tell us anything, if you don't, fine. If you want to mention your website, fine. Not, just kind of take 10 seconds, each of you that are on here. And like I said, we have almost close to 100 members, VIP members actually. And we have a few of you ladies on here tonight. So I want to honor you guys. I want to honor your time and give you an opportunity to say something to the audience here at Ask the Experts. And don't y'all all start at the same time.
I'll go. Hello, y'all. It has truly been a pleasure to be on tonight. You all have blessed my heart and soul. It is so great to interact with beautiful, smart, intelligent women, affluent women. It's just a great, great thing. I am Danielle Nicole Black. I'm a self-love and health ambassador, a personal coach, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Crown Me Foundation, that provides education to women of all colors, all walks of life, to eliminate toxicity, to eradicate self-hate, and to improve self-love, to improve self-confidence, self-security, so that women can live quality lives and be the pillar in their community and in their societies. And so that is the purpose of Crown Me Foundation. If you would like more information about it, you can go to my website, DanielleNicoleBlack.com. There's a Crown Me tab. You could also book a session there, a discovery call, and we can go from there. Thank you all so much for having me on tonight. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you. All right. Kataja, I'm going to start calling y'all out.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kataja McCormick. I am the founder of the Gap Movement. You can go to www.thegapmovement.org. And what I do is I take girls from age 6 to 18, and I give them the opportunity to expose them to a different life outside their front door. I take them, I travel with them, I expose them to things, whether it's cultural wise, education wise, career. I help them transition from high school to trying to pick college, a trade. Also, like we have a book club that my daughter does. She's on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. Talea's Bedtime Stories. She has a speech impediment, so we want to expose people to knowing that learning disabilities should not stop you from wanting to do better. And so thank you for your time. If you have anybody of that age, it doesn't matter, culture, color, any of that, come join us. Again, it's www.thegapmovement.org. Thank you.
All right. Cherie?
Hang on, I had to unmute. I'm Cherie Harris, owner of WCM Investments, which is a real estate property investment group. I just started Custom Me by Cherie. I customize anything that you like. It's kind of jack of all trades things. I make t-shirts, I personalize cups. I will set up for your party. I'm kind of jack of all trades. I make wreaths, I make centerpieces. On Instagram is Custom Me by Cherie. It's starting up, but it's doing well. And I just started a foundation, working on getting my 501.
Yeah, the 501c3.
Yeah, I'm working on that. It's called the Harris Christmas Project. It was started in memory of my husband that I lost last year due to COVID. We always gave to families in need for Christmas. So I continued that giving this past year. So that was the first time we've done that. And it went really well. And we look forward to doing it again this year.
All right. And y'all, she did a great job. She decorated for my grandbaby first birthday party. So yay, I'm a new Gigi, and I think Cherie, she did a beautiful job. Everything was just so nice, so lovely. So yes, get with her for your customization for your business and parties. I can't wait till we can really just do something big together in one place. So for now, like Kata just said, we're stuck. We have to do everything virtually, but Cherie did an awesome job. All right, who's next? Who's next? Who's next?
Cassandra James Weathersby with Black Women Do Heal. Our organization is a safe space for Black women and women of color to come together and to have healing conversations. We also offer referrals for therapeutic services and coaching. And like I said, just a safe space to have healing conversations. We are excited and getting ready for our first healing retreat coming in the year of 2022 with the awesome organization Dual Support that we're partnering with. So we're looking forward to that and getting to meet some of these beautiful ladies that have been coming in person. So looking forward to that. And also our next issue of our magazine that we produce quarterly, Melanated Queen Quarterly, will be coming out soon. If you want to find out more about us, you can reach us at www.blackwomendooheal.org. And again, that's www.blackwomendooheal.org. And you can also find us at Black Women Do Heal on IG and on Facebook.
All right, ladies, you guys are just phenomenal. Just really quick, as you can see on the screen, you can see where you can find us at the aklegacyfoundation.org. Look at our new logo for women in business. Kitty Arsenault of Elevate Her Up. She is one of our board members, and she also does graphic design. She did our logo, and it is awesome. I love it. We have so many great women that are in the organization. So if you're looking for a support group, like we mentioned earlier, reach out to us, see how we can help you, assist you, and see how you can get involved. If you have a skill set or a talent that you would like to share with us, we welcome you. And so this concludes our edition of the AK Legacy Foundation. April 7th is a very important day. The AK Legacy Foundation is named after Angelique Catrice. She is my late daughter, which we named the organization after. In her memory, in her honor, and April 7th is her birthday. And so we just thank you all for tuning in with us today. We decided to use this time to have some open and transparent conversations with ladies from all walks of life, and leave some comments, ask some questions. We are going to reach back out to you if you have a specific question to one of the entrepreneurs, one of the business owners. I will make sure that they get it. And look, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are all going to be reading the chat, so please put the comments in. We are going to be interactive. And once again, we thank you all for tuning in with us. Be blessed. And we just can't thank you enough for being a part of Ask the Expert, a part of the AK Legacy Foundation. You all have a great day. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good
Be blessed.
night.